Okay, here's my next video, Algebra 9.1, solving quadratic equations by finding the square roots. Notice that I'm getting a little fancier with my titles instead of my sloppy writing. I found to figure out a way to type on this thing. So let's talk about what this means. This symbol that you have right here means square root. And I guess the question, what does a square root mean? So I'm going to show you what a root is, and what happens is that if I multiply any two numbers together, in order to get another one, it's the two same numbers, a times a. It should give me, of course, a squared, which the way you undo a square is you go a squared square rooted, and it should give me a. Whatever the a is the root of a squared. Let me give a real life example. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. The square root of 9, what two numbers multiplied together give me 9? Well, 3 does. Therefore, the root of 9 is, or the square root of 9 is 3. So understanding that, it's kind of playing games with this. Now, if you use the square root on your calculator, which I know you all have by now, your little scientific calculator, it'll give you numbers, and you can actually estimate some square roots. The calculator does a really good job. But part of this unit is learning how to deal with square roots with a calculator and without a calculator. So I always tell students what a few things they need to remember about this. They need to know what the perfect squares are. 9 is an example of a perfect square. So let me start with the perfect squares. 1 is a perfect square because 1 times 1 is equal to 1. It's kind of a weird perfect square, but it is. 2 times 2 is equal to 4, the next perfect square. 3 times 3 is equal to 9. And I'm going to go down here, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you should know all the perfect squares for this unit. And if you don't know them by now, you should know them. So this is equal to 16, 25, 36, 49. Can't believe I got something wrong. 49, 64, and 81. By the way, the perfect square for 10 is, sorry, for 100. I'm making this up. 10 times 10 is equal to 100. So if these are the perfect squares, you probably should have memorized. Any more than these, and you're going into a different realm of understanding for mathematics, which is cool. It's okay. So here are some other weird little tricks about square roots. What if I were to square a negative 3? That means negative 3 times a negative 3 gives me 9. So in reality, if you really think about it, the square root of 9 could be negative 3, or it could be 3, because negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and 3 times 3 is 9. So you got to keep in mind with that, because they're going to ask you some special questions here and now. The third example I'm going to give you is, what is the square root of 16? The negative square root of 16, whenever there's a number out here, or a symbol, or a sign, or whatever, it means whatever's out here times everything under here. So this means, what square root of 16 is 4 times negative 1, which gives me a negative 4. Here's the other interesting property of square roots. If I have a square root and I were to put a negative 16 down here, is there any possible answer? 4 times 4 is 16, negative 4 times 4 is 16, and since this is a square root, which means you are squaring the same number with the symbol, or the charge in front of it, then this really has no solution. Okay? So these are some properties of square roots.